Field, Puopolo got a high tackle, back to Hodge. That's a goal, I think. It is. Hodge has done it from nowhere. He could have done it. The first team in the 18-team competition to go back to back to back. They're three-peaters.
Collingwood by a point. Lockyer brings it in. Ryder sandwich between two pies. Back of the Packers, Winderlich. Quick handball to Hocking. Back to Lovett Murray. He goes short. It's a mark to Zaharakis. Zaharakis has kicked a goal. The Bombers are in front of the G.
You are now listening to the Molten Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a little bit of a different Molten Fantasy Sport podcast. I'm your host, Rob Kennedy, the Supercoach Hawk, sitting here with the big horse, my mate, Mickie Dell. How are you, Dell?
Robbie, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I am the big horse. But, Robbie, tonight, lights out. There's a power outage up at Brisbane. First the cricket, now the footy. What's going on?
Mate, what's going to happen to the Com Games when we've got we've got them running down at the 100-metre sprint and then bang at 50 metres? What, you're going to go off for 60 minutes and bring them back on, or do we call it a draw because they're past the 50-metre line?
I'll tell you what, you wouldn't want to.
It's absolute nonsense in Queensland. I know Queensland don't really love the footy, but I tell you what, you don't need to turn the lights off on the bloody game. You're up by 40 points, Lions. Get around them.
Yeah.
They're back out there now. But we thought we better jump online. Hopefully some people jump on and have a chat to us. We thought we'd do something different. If not, they can. You can put your comments if you are watching online. Put the game on in the background. Let's be honest, this game is over. I'm very intrigued to see what Supercoach do. I've been told that they're doing a bit of a scale up already. I think Max Gawn has 1 point. So everybody that's put him as captain, congratulations. You now have 2 points. What percentage? It was about 3.1, did you say, mate?
3.1% of people had Gawn as captain. Yeah.
And 13% have him in their team. So
yes.
Very interesting. So it's unfortunate. Hopefully no one out there. Look, I feel, I've had some shocking decisions already. I feel for anybody that had a Tom Stewart or a Max Gawn, you could see why you'd have them in your team. It's disappointing. This is the brutal game that is fantasy football. But, yeah, look, the game was a little bit disappointing. I still see it as a 2023 grand final possible showdown. Let's not forget Melbourne still have Stephen May, and Max Gawn did go out early in the match as well to come back into that side, and Cozzy Pickett obviously to come back in as well. So I reckon Melbourne still bounce back from this. You're allowed to have 1 week off. But to those 4 people that brought Dane Zorko in this week, well done. 143 he's sitting on at the moment. Congratulations. And he's even been subbed off. So it's a big effort from him.
Yeah. With Melbourne, Robbie, they are, as you just said, gone in the first couple of minutes. Stephen May pinged a calf early on in the warm-ups and couldn't actually take his position on the ground. First games for the year for 4 players. Was it Viney, Fritsch, and a couple of others? They're already starting from a little way back, given that they hadn't had the match preparation or the conditioning that other people had. And like, you listen to the newspapers and the radios and the articles about Brisbane and how Chris Fagan was just off the deep end this week with how frustrated he was with his group and that disgusting showing round 1. So it was always on the cards for Brisbane to bounce back in a big way.
Absolutely. For anyone listening to us live, welcome. Make sure you click subscribe, get all those episodes and links and notifications every time that we go on board and go online. We're going to be bringing you content throughout the AFL season on a regular standpoint. Make sure you drop in some comments. No question is off limits. Ask anything you want and everything you want. But I'm going to give a shout out. Can't quite see it in my camera at the moment. To the Standard Squeeze, our sponsors. My gift pack has come. And Mick, I know you've got one as well. This is awesome. This is a phenomenal product. And I'm not saying that just because they've got behind us and sponsored us. So to anyone that's watching along, you put your spirits in here, right? This is the smallest of the bottles. I've got 4 bottles. There's 4 different sizes. This is the smallest of the bottles. It packs a whole heap in there. So basically all you do is pour your spirits in here, you squeeze the chamber, and it shoots the spirit into here. And that's a perfect 30 mils. And it tells you what it is. So that's the one shot. I've got their cup here as well, the 4-in-1. I tell you what, if this wasn't anything to get excited about, this is. This is phenomenal. So this is hot and cold and a cup for your spirits at the same time as a stubby holder, which I think you're using it as, aren't you?
I'm using it as a stubby holder, and you can take the top off, as I have, and you place it at the bottom so you're not making a mess on the tables. Hold your cans well. So, yeah, I had a coffee in this morning, and now it's holding my stubby.
Look at that. Just a couple of squeezes, up to the 30 mils. I'm rocking the doubles. It's a Friday night, and my son was a bit of a menace coming home from daycare today. It was first day in the toddler room for the whole day, so he was a little bit tired. So he wasn't in the best of moods. But there's my double pour. So to the blokes at Standard Squeeze, thanks for getting behind us. We really appreciate it. It makes us feel really great. But to anyone listening at home, go and check this product out. They sell the different size bottles of the Standard Squeeze, which is all about giving you the perfect pour.
It is.
Sell the cup and the 4-in-1 cup online as well. And if you go and drop Molten 15 into the code, I'm not just a straight whiskey boy. I'm going to put some Coke in here as well. If you drop Molten 15, you'll get 15% off these products. Honestly, I can't recommend it enough. So go and check them out. So thanks to the lads at Standard Squeeze. And to everybody, go and support those who support us. So, yeah big shout out. And this is why no questions are off limit. I might have had a couple of these before the podcast started, but I'm excited. Where do you want to start? Should we tap into what's happened? I heard you had a bit of a dilemma, but I reckon a lot of people would have had Doherty as their VC.
Yeah, I did. So
talk us through it, and then where you're going to go next.
Yeah, so I tried to do a couple of trades throughout the week, as everyone did. You know, you do your trades, you reverse them, you see how it looks, you see what sort of money you got to play with. And just before last night's game, I reckon it was about 6:30, I reversed my trades, which means your team goes back to how it was earlier in the week. And, it just so happens that the VC ended up on Doherty, which I didn't want and didn't realise that till after the game. So I've had to cop the 70-odd from Doherty. And what do you get? 73, sorry. So obviously I'm not going to stick with that. But as we get into this episode, we've done some research throughout the day today, a couple of stats on players and their history against certain teams and some definite captain options for your next couple of days.
What's your rule on VC? Like, what's your acceptable score? So, for example, I'm having a look now, and I'm assuming a few people have gone Clayton Oliver tonight. Now, currently looking on the Game Day Live, he's at 120. Now, I'm not sure if that's still on the scaled up, and that might change once this game looks like it's about to get on and finish the last 12 minutes. But what's your rule on keeping a VC score?
Mine's always been 125. So
125, okay.
125, yeah. So we've all got premiums in our team for a reason, and those premiums I expect to score upwards of 125 for them to, live up to their premium status. So if you're scoring 125 or more, then cool. But yeah, there's a couple of games this weekend where, like, I'm looking at players that are going to go 140, 150 plus for sure. Yeah,
I've always been a 120 man myself, and I hate when they score. Well, I don't hate, but it makes me antsy when they score the 115 to 120, because then then you're starting to question yourself. It's kind of like blackjack. You sort of get that. Do I hold them, or do I hit? What's your number? And then you
like
get
16,
one number
17, you're like,
exactly right. Exactly right. But all right, 125. I'm okay with that. So I haven't picked my VC yet. So I don't have anyone. I had Dunkley in this game. It was a possibility for me. I've got Angus Brayshaw. Let's not talk about it. The guy was sitting on 29, I think, about 3 minutes ago in the first quarter. Somehow he ended up that first quarter on 20. And then he ended up at 31 at halftime. He's only sitting on 77 at the moment. So, look, I hope he gets a few more touches and at least gets me to a 90 or something. It would be nice to finish this game off. But I'm looking at Laird. I've kept Laird. I'm looking at Laird to be my VC tomorrow. I'm looking at Laird to be my VC. The beauty of the old Madden loophole is I could possibly change to a Cornelio or a Tom Green. If I bring them in for Kelly, I have to trade Kelly out unless someone on my bench goes ballistic. But what are the VC or captain options have you kind of looked at, mate, with your stats?
So for me, because I've already blown my vice captaincy on Doherty, I'm going to go the big nuts here, and I'm going Bontempelli. So the last two games against St Kilda, he's scored 159 and 181. Yeah, so he's gone really, really north with scores there. And it's not just Bontempelli for the Western Bulldogs as well. The last 2 games against Western Bulldogs versus St Kilda, Bontempelli 159, 181, Bailey Dale 118, 152, McRae 149, 128, and Libba 145 and 131. So for anyone that have got those players in your side and you haven't burnt a VC option yet, I reckon you're looking good for that game there.
So I've got Libba. So I'll ask you the question. Rory Laird against Richmond or Libba against the Saints?
Yeah, I'd go Libba. Did a bit of research on Laird as well. Laird in the last couple of games against Richmond has scored 92 and 120. Believe it or not, the big scorer for Adelaide against Richmond previously has been Riley O'Brien. Last couple of games, he's got 115, 147.
Yep.
So a couple of good scores there for Riley O'Brien. And for Richmond in that game, there's really no one. Cochin's the most consistent. The last 2 games, 113, 121 for Trent Cochin.
I'll tell you who I'll be watching the close. Firstly, I hate and love when you do that to me because I've been set on Laird. Now you're making me think about it. But thank you. And we'll see. I always hit you up with what's going on, what's good. I did say a thank you for the Setterfield comment that I did send that through. I'm genuine with my love. I'll be watching closely those first 2 games, the Collingwood-Port. I'll be watching Dacos extremely closely in that match. I'll be watching Horne-Francis. I think that's going to be one of my trades. I think I'm definitely going to go Cunnington to Horne-Francis. I think it's a must do. I'm very much a make a trade on a price change week, but I think that's just a must do. But I'll be watching Dacos very closely in that match. And then in the Crows v Tigers, I'll be watching Daniel Rioli closely as well. So they're 2 possible defense options for me, especially if sort of Brayshaw or Dale don't come through this week. I might look to have to make a sideways move. And I would only ever do that based on the fact that we have so many trades this year. So I think sometimes you got to make the primo move sometimes.
You do.
Yeah.
And you know what? The Port Adelaide v Collingwood games, the last 3 games have been very close as well. So in those close games, you do get some good scores. But don't be surprised tomorrow. I had a look at the last game that Port Adelaide and Collingwood played against each other. Collingwood won by a kick, I think it was.
Yep.
Ryan Burton went to Josh Dacos. So that could potentially happen.
He went to Josh Dacos, did he? Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Nick Dacos. Sorry.
Yeah, got you.
Nick Dacos only scored 77.
I'm expecting that, and that was actually a little bit of why I held this week. Especially, I didn't rush it. You pick primos for a reason. You got to back him in. You got to give him another week.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are talking about Sean Darcy being their VC. Goldstein coming back for North Melbourne.
Yeah.
Have you had a look at that at all, or what's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, that's a good shout. VC, if you go on that way, Darcy's last 2 games against North Melbourne, 120 and 178. So he's gone big, but he's not the only Fremantle one. Their backline hasn't recently scored well against North Melbourne, believe it or not. Like, they do have a strong backline, but the top 3 that I picked from Freo were Darcy, Sarong and Brayshaw. Sarong, 118 and 117 last 2 games. Yep. Brayshaw, 112, 134. And as an example, Luke Ryan against North Melbourne, the last 2 games, 87 and 75.
Yeah. Sarong's an interesting one, isn't he? I reckon next year he's one of those people that I'll be heavily looking at as a player that I pick. I rate him extremely highly. I think he's just inconsistent at the moment. I feel like maybe that next year will be that year that he shows consistency. I mean, it's a big call now in round 1, but he's got the talent. And I think when him and Brayshaw will start to work out themselves together, I actually think he's the one that if he doesn't have a huge year this year, just has an okay year, I reckon he's the one that will find some consistency in that role soon. Mate, I'm going to ask you a question. I don't think we've talked about this one too much. We've talked a lot about Horne-Francis. A lot of people are looking to bring him in, and a lot of people are looking to bring him in early.
Yep.
One name that we didn't mention that hasn't been in that side that is back this week, albeit as the sub, Travis Boak.
Is he back? Is he?
He's back as the sub. So Hinkley said today that he's going to be the sub because they're just going to ease him back in, and the new rule allows them to do that.
Yeah, right.
Does that worry you as someone? Because I know you're talking about bringing in Horne-Francis. I think you're doing the Cunnington to Horne-Francis trade as well, possibly, unless you've had some rethinks. Does that give you a fear factor at all? What's your thoughts?
No. Boak's towards the back end of his career, and he'll play a lot of high half forward. We've spoken a lot on this podcast before about your high half forward playing as a fifth on baller and helping transition the ball from back to forward. Boak is going to play that role when he gets full game time. I doubt we'll see much of him throughout the middle unless Porter getting smashed. I think they can clearly see that their future lies with Butters, Rosie, Horn-Francis, Drew, all Power Pepper, all these sorts of players. So, yeah, for Boak, he's going to be a lot of a high half forward. He could be a good pick in a few weeks' time when they do the DPPs, and he could get his forward status, and I'll look to bring him in then. But he's always been a good Supercoach scorer too. So,
yeah,
he's one to keep an eye out for.
Big fan of Travis Boak.
Yeah.
Now, this is an interesting one. Now, for those who haven't used their VC, look, we can go as far as Sunday game. We could go all the way to Sunday game 2 before you have to make the decision, but we'll go to Sunday game 1.
Yeah.
Callum Mills, the last time he played against Hawthorn, am I right in saying 218?
214, yep.
214, sorry. Finn McGuinness, who does he take?
I think he takes
Warner, you got Goulden, you've got Mills. Who does he take?
I think he takes Errol Goulden.
You think he takes Errol Goulden?
I think so. Goulden's been that damaging. We saw it in the practice match. We saw it in round 1 against Gold Coast. He's elite by foot and kicks the ball a lot. Sydney look to get the ball through him, going through high half forward. They're going to look to negate that. So I believe Finn McGuinness goes to Goulden. I don't think Mills has had an interrupted pre-season with his finger injury. He looked okay, but didn't look like he was setting the world on fire in that first game. So I don't think he's a threat. But then, like, you've got Chad Warner, you've got all these sorts of players coming through that play good midfield minutes. Luke Parker. Yeah, I think it's Goulden. I think he's sticking with Goulden.
Yeah, interesting. An interesting move from Sam Mitchell. I think I read correctly that Scrimshaw might actually be the sub tomorrow, Sunday, which is interesting, the way that Scrimshaw plays. So you might be right. They might move Finn McGuinness back to maybe the back line to take a Goulden if he's on the half forward or whoever sort of drops back there, because I think they do need to get their midfield right, and I don't think the tagging role right in the midfield worked for them. So maybe they're going to free up some midfielders to go and do a bit more and let the tag be a bit off that half back possibly, which somehow has moved Scrimshaw to the sub rule, considering how good he is. The interesting thing, I think it was Damien Barrett I saw recently. He came out on Footy Classified or whichever football show he's on, maybe it's just called the Footy Show, and said what Hawthorn doing right now is a different form of tanking by trading Tom Mitchell, by trading Jack Gunston, by trading Jago Mira. It's a form of now I call that clickbait media, which I think is extremely disappointing from him because I normally love him stuff. I apologize if it's not Damien Barrett. It's one of them. And at least Jimmy Bartell, and now there's a Geelong Hawthorn rivalry there. Jimmy Bartell came to the defense and said, if you can get value for those trades, what they're doing is absolutely fine. They're not coming out and trying to lose. They've just rebuilt their list and came to the defense. What's your thoughts? Surely a player manager can make a list review and make a trade.
Yeah, I can see both sides. I don't really rate the fact that it's left Hawthorn a bit young through the midfield. Like you see any good teams, and like there's times throughout the year where any good team, it sort of happens where things turn to shit. Like we saw Melbourne tonight, and they sort of fell away, and they had to rely on their senior members. Like there was a passage of play there where Oliver, Petrarca, they're standing there on the sidelines waving their hands. They've been off for 10 minutes. Trying to get back on the ground so they can influence the contest. They're the senior players of the Melbourne midfield. They're the ones you want in there. For Hawthorn, we saw last week against Essendon, and me being an Essendon supporter, it's hard not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I don't think that we're a top 8 side. When things started to roll Essendon's way, Hawthorn didn't have that senior player to go in there and just get a couple of hard balls to clog it up and sort of turn the tide a little bit. So I don't like that they've traded all their senior players to expose the younger players to this sort of, momentum swing, or in some cases, like if that wasn't Essendon and it was Melbourne or Brisbane on a good day, that could be 100, 120 points.
So I was just watching Angus Brayshaw get a nice contested possession there and a clean handball out. Very nice. They're
back
7
on.
minutes. 7 minutes to go. They're still up by 30-odd points in a safe spot. It's interesting to see the scores, though. One person that I want to bring to your attention as I just settle my mic down, Will Ashcroft. To the 484 people who traded out Will Ashcroft after round one, silly.
Are they gonna trade him back in?
He's on 104 at the moment. He's all class. I just can't believe 484 people traded him out. Surely, like it just mind boggles me. Like, look, we've made some gutsy calls on our teams and made some changes and done some things, but that guy can play. Yeah, I'll throw this out to you then. If you're looking already to next week, let's talk about your trades. What are you doing for your trades this week? And then who are you already thinking that's possibly going to be next week, regardless of what goes on?
Yeah, okay. So already pulled one trade. Cunnington's gone. Horn-Francis is in.
Same as me. I'll be doing the same. Yep.
And I'll just get into my team so I'm not pulling the wool over anyone's eyes. I can't even remember who I've traded out, but I've bought in Tom Green.
Tom Green. Who have you been?
Yes.
I want to know who you've traded.
I had 200,000 left over though, so I had a lot of money in the bank.
Okay. Yeah. So you can't work out who you've done the upgrade for.
I got rid of Bruin.
You got rid of who?
Bruin from Geelong.
Oh, Tanner Bruin. Yeah.
Bruin.
I did the hold for him for one more week. I listened to the people in our Molten chat. It was a strong word to hold. I did a vote out on Twitter. It was a 60-40 hold, and I was already feeling hold, so I went with it as well. I think he's just lost. I think Chris Scott's playing him in the wrong role. He looks lost on the field. He is a inside midfielder or just a center clearance midfielder. And if you're not going to play him there, don't play him anywhere else because he just looks lost. I'm literally watching a screen looking for number 4, and I don't even see him on my 82-inch bloody screen. He's not there. He's just, where is he? Yeah. And I feel for the guy because I actually think he looks quite classy with ball in hand. So, mate, I'm going to ask you then. So I'm looking at my trades. I don't want to rush anything. I definitely don't want to force anything. I think Cunnington for Horn-Francis is my lock. Unless someone does amazing, like at the moment I've got who have I got like that Orland on my bench he's my emergency in the midfield. Unless he does something amazing, I'm going to trade Kelly. Now it's more likely going to be Canelio or Green. I've had a lot of people lean towards Canelio as being the option and then being able to put him forward, which I don't mind the call. And my must-have that's either this week or next week has to be Sheasel. So has to be Sheasel coming in. Do I risk that now or do I do that? Do I just wait till next week?
Yeah, that's right.
Because I've got Fergus Green, who look, I rate Fergus Green and what he's going to do, but I think a Sheasel for me locks away that F6 spot, and I'm good to move on. And then I'll work out Tanner Bruin next week, which I might actually even be able to go like a Goulden or something like that if need be.
You know who's
we've got a few. Yeah,
as a forward rookie I was watching tonight. That Cade Chandler from Melbourne, he looks like he's got his spot cemented in that forward line there.
Yeah, I reckon that might have to be a next week move too. Next week, I feel like next week is very much me. I hope to not have to do any sideways unless, Brayshaw or Dale really look horrendous and I've got to make that move to someone else. But I'm really hoping next week I just solidify my rookies. If I'm looking at my orders, it's solidify rookies, any sideways moves to get things right, and then you sort of go from there. But for me, it's all about the cash cows in the middle and getting at the top. But mate, we've had a few. Oh, look at that! I've got to throw it up there because you have just made the call. I don't know if you've got the footy on the background of your house. I do. People can probably see it on my glasses up here. So on call. Jake Skidmore's just said, Mick Dell, did you see that? And what it is Chandler's just slotted one straight through. So
there you go.
Shout out. We've got a few people jumping on now and asking a few questions. So maybe I'll pop a couple of them up while we're here.
Yeah, cool.
We're here to answer questions, guys. Throw them in.
A big shout out to Skitty Toe. He's a big North Melbourne man. And just
he's just a great man. He's a great man.
A lovely fella. So Jake Skidmore, good on you for jumping in, brother.
We'll throw one more of his questions in here. We'll throw one more. So, g'day, legends. Sheasel, surely a must in all teams. Also, what are your thoughts on Rowan Marshall? One bad game. Should we look elsewhere? Can I take this one? I think I just touched on it a little bit. I think Sheasel's a must-have in. For me, I've got to chase a bit of tail, so I actually might just bring him in this week for Fergus Green, knowing that I think he's going to score a bigger score, and I need to start catching up some points, especially after Cripper had a bit of a, not terrible, it was 99, but a bit of a quieter one. So that's made me possibly pull the trigger this week and bring in Sheasel for Green. Marshall, hold. I think we talked about him in our must-haves. I think he sat at number one. Look, I'm gonna watch it closely and see how the St Kilda structure really works. Let's be clear. Let's be very clear here. Ross Lyon created a game plan to beat Fremantle, and he pulled it off with success. So maybe we'll see an actual slightly different, true St Kilda game plan this week. We'll see how Rowan Marshall goes. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah, I think Rowan Marshall's a keeper for sure.
And another regular, Mr. Hammond. Is it Hammond or Haymond?
It's Hammond, but we'll call him Haymond.
Do you call him Haymond?
No, I call him Dr. Hamo.
I like it. Mate, I used to get so nervous when I was like in a starting five with him on 2K. I was like, oh mate, if I miss two shots, he's just going to slag me off to everybody.
From where he's come from to now, he's now one of the best point guards in Australia when it comes to 2K.
Oh, he can play. That's why I was nervous, because he's good.
Yeah, he's taken it to the next level. So Ryan and Anthony, my brother, and a couple of other guys, they just won the last one-day tournament, the Australasian tournament, and they won themselves $650. So congratulations to those guys.
He's just ridden off nuts. He loves it. He loves it. I don't like giving him compliments because he'll bloody ride it till the cows come home, but he is a good player, and that's why I was nervous. And I knew I was about number 52 on your guys' list in case somebody else wasn't playing. It was the only way I got a game, but always wanted to do. But he's talking about Clary. Let's get back to Supercoach here. We're getting a few people jumping on. We were going to make this short and sharp, but I feel like you and me are just happy to have a chat. And if people want to come and jump on live, come and have a chat with us. Clary's 126 VC. Now, you talked about 125 being your benchmark to keep a VC. Are you keeping the 126? Look, the game's not over, but are you keeping that, mate?
It's guaranteed. Yeah, I'd take that every day of the week. Yep. Because you don't know. Like, you've got a Maxi Gawn who you'd anticipate going 140, 150 and 2 minutes into the game, and then you miss out on 250 points. So 125's always been my cutoff. If they go over it, it's done. So I'm taking that.
If anybody, we've got a few more people jumping on. I'm going to give another shout out to this product. If you're looking at what is this here, it's not my like little son's fruit box sort of thing sitting here. It is the standard squeeze. This is the bottle that we've been sent out that comes a part of our pack. This is the smallest of the lot. There's 4. It squeezes. All you got to do is a little squeeze, and you can see that small chamber filling up. It's perfect. So my spirits are just pouring into that perfect pour. In it goes into my perfect 4-in-1 cup, and it's amazing. And it's putting me in a great spot with the perfect pour. I'm not going to lie. So the blokes at Standard Squeeze, get around them with your Molten 15 code. We'll give a huge shout out. Obviously, Snap Fitness as well. Epson and Bendigo, the crew out there. Make sure if you go and need all your fitness needs, jump out to Snap Fitness 24/7 in Epson and Bendigo. If you've got kids, they've got daycare. They'll take care of your kids in the creche. I know Mickie Dell's glutes are looking phenomenal after one Pilates class.
Oh, mate, I'm still walking around like a baby giraffe. It's terrible. It was a good class. I was meant to go on Friday, but Mark had a couple of sickies, so he had to go and look after the other store at Bendigo. So it was just convenient that I missed out. But I've booked in for next Friday already. And another one of our mates, Dylan Holzer, who's down at Castlemaine. G'day, Dick Arms, if you're watching, mate. We're going to all go together and have a crack, try and get some more blokes involved.
Mate, to the viewers we have in here, I'm loving it. And Mick, I'm just going to give you a quick shout. Maybe turn the game on. There's 1:30 to go, and the D's are only down by 2 goals, and they're about to go inside 50, and Clary's about to have a shot. Oh no, he's centering it.
They were down.
I feel like our podcast is going to turn into a bit of commentary here. Oh, he's giving it off. Ben Brown's giving a handball out to Vine. He's having a shot. Oh, he's giving it off.
Oh dear.
He should have had. He was too unselfish there.
They
Oh,
were down
Neil
40
Bullen.
points.
They're out now. 1 minute.
Wow. They should.
If they score now, though, tell you what,
They've nearly shit the bed. My God.
Is that a point? Oh, that's
Oliver up to
better.
134.
Out of bounds is even better. Wow.
Oliver,
To everybody watching, if you've just given up on the game, don't, because if anybody could do something crazy here, it's Melbourne. But we love that you're in here listening. Put some questions in the comments, guys. We'll make sure we get to those questions, and then if we don't get much more, we'll sign off soon. This has turned into one of those, like, it sounds like we're doing like a card break or something. We're just like chatting with anybody who like comes in. Yeah, Brisbane have cleared it out now.
Yeah.
I tell you what, what's your thoughts on, because it looks like this game's over now. There's only 35 seconds left. What's your thoughts on Brodie Grundy? Disappointing.
He looked like he was struggling. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he's pushed up to a 76 score in the end, but he's played the whole game. He's played the whole game. Yeah, he just look, maybe he's got to learn the system there a little bit more, but surely as a ruckman of his caliber. Great tackle. Charlie Cameron. He's quick, hey. He's so quick.
Yeah.
I've always wished I could play one game of like amateur football with like, Fritz. Nah, the siren's about to go. He's kicked it, but he's missed it. Missed it on the siren. Well done, Brisbane. Good effort. They'll be annoyed at coming back, but here's what it is. It'll be a massive talking point, won't it? Because look at what happened to Brisbane. You know, going off, coming back on, 40 points up, and winning by 11 with 12 minutes to go. I mean, that could have been really interesting. But Brodie Grundy, thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not picking him anytime soon. He looks sloppy. He just looks underdone.
Yeah. What do you reckon people will do now? Because obviously his break even's not going to be there. Like, he'll lose cash next week, no doubt, with the change. Yep. But obviously now, if it comes out that Gawn's out for 8 weeks, surely people will be looking at it. Do you look at let's go back to a Dwayne Delminico who comes in and goes, look, I took that chance on someone. He took the chance on Rowan Marshall before he even was, price change and things like that, started averaging 120. Do you look at someone like that and go, yes, he's going to go down in cash, but he's a chance to maybe get me some massive points as the sole ruckman of Melbourne?
Not him, no.
Okay.
No, he looks too underdone for me. And I'm looking at a smoky here. Petraka's priced at north of 600, and last week 97, this week 98. He was going to drop in price. He might be good to bring in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, he was my one. It was an interesting one that I said a few people sleeping on. I'm glad I've taken. I was tossing and turning over him or Crippers. I'm glad I've taken Crippers. Crippers has been a bit stronger than he has, and looks good. I mean, Crippers has single-handedly held the midfield this week and still walked away with 99. And he had they put who'd they put to him straight away? They put Blickvass on him straight away. And it was interesting. They took Blickvass off him in the third quarter. I think he had something like 12 touches in the third quarter. So I think they put him straight back on him. But, interesting. All right, mate. Well,
when we're looking at other C options just for the weekend, I'm just going to roll off a few more.
Yeah, so let's go down to GWS as well. So that's the last game of the round versus West Coast. So a lot of people holding out to that point. A lot of people having confidence in the Canelios and the Greens. Is that where you're lining up as well? Like, if you were to BC, like, let's say, I know your Doherty didn't come through. So let's say Bont doesn't come through. I hope he does for you. But if he doesn't, where a lot of people might throw the VC, if you come to the last round, last day, last game, who are you picking, Green or Canelio, to get you your captaincy?
Yeah, I'm probably picking Canelio. Last time around, he had 140 against West Coast. Green had 123.
Yep.
I think both will score pretty well. Even the Essendon Gold Coast game. So Redmond, the last 2 times he's played, 152, 111. Merritt, 136, 107. Ridley, 101, 108. Parrish, 112. Took Miller, 110, 103. Witts has been a perennial bad scorer against Essendon, averages 78. So I'm not touching that game. You're really just looking at your Western Bulldogs players. At a stretch, if you've got Sinclair or Steele from St Kilda, they've both scored 117, 99 for Steele, and then 133 each the last time they played.
Yep.
So you're looking there in the Adelaide-Richmond game, like on previous history, you're probably looking at Riley O'Brien as a VC option, given he got his 147 last time. The Freo game, Darcy, Sarong, Brayshaw, the back line doesn't really score well against North. Zeeble could be in for a big day, and LDU, like Brayshaw, Sarong, the new midfield at Fremantle, they're not really that big. He could have a really good contested ball game there. Yep. So if you've got him, Sydney, Hawthorn without Buddy Franklin, Sicily could go huge here because they're going to try and pepper that Logan McDonald. Is that his name down there?
Yeah, Logan McDonald, WA boy. Yep.
Yeah, Logan and Hayden McLean. So if he can play off them and take however many contested marks or intercept marks, he could be in for a big day as well. So there's a couple of options there, guys. I wouldn't touch the Collingwood-Port Adelaide game. I went back and had a look through it, and there's a lot of inconsistencies there. And like I believe Burton's going to go to Dacos. The most consistent one there is Ollie Wines. The last 3 games they've played, he's gotten over 100 3 times in a row. But even like Connor Rosey scored a 38. So you just don't know.
It's going to be a lot of people scrambling for some loopholes out there if they don't have them because Hammond's let us know that Clary's ended up, I think he's written 136. I think Clary's ended up with 134, but same but different. There's going to be a few people out there pretty happy, I reckon. I reckon there would have been quite a few. VC to Clary tonight, so they'll be pretty happy with that score, considering he started a little bit quiet. But well, Jay Skidmore, and this is a good little shout out. Skiddy's getting involved. I reckon he's had a few standard squeezes himself at home, and I like it. Logan McDonald for 2+. Yeah. Hayden McLean for 2+. If I'm right, I want to squeeze. Is that out there enough? Is that out? I'll tell you what, you might get it, but remember, if you want to win our standard squeeze or our big squeeze, you're better at this. The big squeeze?
The squeezer of the week.
Squeezer of the week. Yeah. Thanks, mate. This is why you're here, is to keep me in line and I'm meant to be the one hosting the damn thing. For squeezer of the week, you got to send in what you think is a bit outlandish and a bit out there. Whatever's the most outlandish, but also gets close to it or gets it. We'll pick our squeezer of the week. Last week we gave it to our top of the league, Mr. Aaron out there with the FB United, leading our league, which you've got still time to jump in and join our league. The code there at the bottom. We'll put that in. Skiddy, we'll put that in. Logan McDonald 2+, Hayden McLean 2+. I tell you what, picking 2+ against Hawthorn isn't a massive stretch, but maybe Sicily and the old Sam Frost will have something to say about that.
I did read somewhere today, Rob, that Hawthorn have won 7 of their last 9 in Sydney too.
Have we not played there since like 2015 or something? Or
not sure, but Hawthorn have got a good record up there.
Jake Skidmore's thrown out, mate. He said he either wants to squeeze the standard squeeze pack or he wants a little bit of a squeeze from Mickie Dell.
I'll give him a squeeze.
He's a good man. Mate, I think that might be it for us. Thanks for everyone who's jumped online. Unless anybody wants to throw through a couple more questions. I feel like I could just sit here and chat to you for hours, but then I forget we're actually doing a bit of a pod and people are there live with us. But honestly, there's been so much feedback on Twitter. I've really enjoyed it. Look, there's another question coming through. I'll put it up in a second. But to everyone who's getting on board with us, there's our Twitter handles below. I'm surprised. I'm surprised he hasn't come on. Surely he's listening. And I expected a question from him where I want to give 2 shout outs that I want to go to right now. Yeah. One of them's to Phil. So Phil Unfiltered, who was sitting second in our league. Great chat, great banter. Guy knows his stuff, sitting in a really good spot. Subscribed and got along with us. And another mate, Nick, he's just at Nick R. He's gone on and absolutely done a fantastic design for me today on Twitter and Instagram playing with our logo and stuff like that. Unbelievable bloke who just wanted to give a shout out and help to everyone who's just putting great fantasy content out there. Obviously he meant to get your handle and not mine, Mick, but obviously he was pretty happy with what we're throwing out there. So to Nick R and at Phil Unfiltered, guys, love your support. It honestly makes us feel really good about what we're doing, and just we love what we're doing, and we have a bit of a laugh with everyone. But so thank you, and any way we can support you, let us know.
Well, the group code down here for our unlimited.
I'll move it out the way first.
No, that's okay. The group code for the Supercoach Unlimited 237113. So you enter that league. It doesn't matter whether you weren't in last week. If you're in this week and you get the top score, you win a standard squeeze pack. So that's roughly about $100 worth of gear that you'll win from us, thanks to the guys at Standard Squeeze. So all you need to do, it's free of charge, enter the league, get the top score, the prize is yours.
2 comments to finish. We'll go one which is a bit of a cheeky one, and then we'll go one that's a genuine one. Hammond's obviously got me in head-to-head, I assume, because, hey, Rob, look at the head-to-head if you want to cry. I know he's got Clary as VC, so I'm backing in Rory Laird to come out with a 150 plus and absolutely smoke you.
Yeah.
Hammond, have you got Doherty? Write me a message. I hope you have Doherty. If you don't have Doherty, then I probably will cry, but we'll have a look. I'll have a little sneaky look at the head-to-heads. I try not to be on my phone too much in this podcast, but yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm in fix-it mode. I'm going to come strong. Oh, he's got Sicily and Dawson. Oh, he doesn't have Doherty. You're kidding me. You are kidding me. Okay. It's going to be a tough week at the Supercoach Hawk House. I'll tell you that for sure. And one last one here. Thanks for listening. Ross Laws. Hey, guys, 11% of owners. I think there's actually 13% of Gone owners out there if I looked last. Deja vu. Stuart last week. What a start to the season. Hopefully that's not you, Ross. Hopefully you don't have both. That's an absolutely shocker to the season, mate. Really intrigued to see what move you did with Stuart. Did you go to sort of like a Ridley and a Dacos, or did you sort of move across to a Dawson or a Sicily? Really intrigued to see what people did there, because it's very easy to quickly just go to the bigger score. And Gawn is a crusher, because I tell you what, it was a ballsy pick to take Gawn with the idea of what was happening with him and Grundy. So I give you credit to do it. So, and he's just written in, he's taken Dacos. So, mate, Ross, if you've only just joined the chat, again, I can see why you've taken the Dacos. Mickie threw up a great point at the start of this chat, which was we're a little bit nervous that Burton might go back to him again. Burton played on him last time. Did you have Dacos' score last time Burton was on him, mate?
Yeah, 77.
Yeah, 77. So, look, I would think Burton will go to him again, but hopefully Dacos has learned things. He's a year older, he's a year wiser, and he's a gun. So I'm sure they'll have some tactics on how they free him up. It was a really interesting move, wasn't it, by McRae to name it the forward pocket. I'm pretty sure Nick Dacos ain't lining up in the forward pocket. So
that's just fun and games, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we got some more people, mate. I'm going to stay on. If people are going to make comments, I'm going to stay
absolutely.
on.
Let's roll
absolutely.
through it.
So Skits Fitz, who's a regular listener. I actually thought for a second this was Jake Skidmore. I thought it was like a different tag. So I'm intrigued on who Skits Fitz is, but he's been a big listener and he comments alone. Do you know Skits Fitz?
I don't, but I do rate his stuff that he writes to us on social media. So shout out. I
agree.
To him. Love your work, mate. Put in the chat, who are your 4 Brisbane boys that lost momentum? I'd love to see who they were, because a lot of them did score well. Like I had Wilmot, and I thought after his start he'd go better, but he finished off with about a 70. And mind you, guys, the scaling, I believe, hasn't happened yet. So I'm not sure how close they are to the 2,700.
Yeah. No, I'm not. The scaling definitely hasn't happened yet. I reckon the app's gone a little bit kaput at the moment. I can't get the final scores from the game day, but that's all right. You've got to think he's gone. Who's his 4? I'm going to go Wilmot, Ashcroft, McKenna,
Neil.
Oh, there you go. And no, so Neil, Dunkley, McKenna, and Ashcroft. Yeah, okay. Also, no Wilmont. So no Wilmont. Interesting.
Yep.
Because there's so many options. There's so many options at the Lions this year. Well done on McKenna. McKenna had a really good first round. That was a great pick.
77 today too for McKenna.
Yeah. And Ross Laws makes a good point. 70. Yeah. I love the wit of these people. They're switched on and they're smart. So as he said, he goes, if Dacos sort of gets a 77 again, 77 is still better than Doherty's 73. It's a great call. It's a great call. It's a fantastic call. I love that. Well done.
Lend me one of your trades, Ross.
Oh mate, I need someone's 30, 32. Send them all to me. That'll be great. We're getting a few coming through. Let's have a little look. What did McGregor call? Here we go. I've got it here. So from Hammond sent through, what did McGregor score? McGregor ended up with
77.
And I know he's making the joke, which is McGregor, and he means McKenna. He scored 77. Yeah, again, I'll take that. After the score he got last week and this week, he's going up for cash. I think he's one of the guys that I'm probably going to bring in next week just from his cash cow ability and showing that he still knows how to score.
Sure.
Wilmot ended up with 68. Brayshaw at least got me up to 88. Still not good enough. I'm going to have a good look at that next week. Ashcroft ended up with 105. Dunkley with 116, which is going to be that tricky call for people. Is that VC? Where'd Neil? Neil 99 again, sort of like Crippers. That 99. You're going to want more from Neil, but you'll take it. Let's have a look. Here we go. You'll like this one, Mickey Dell. I'll let you have this one, mate. Sam Durham.
Oh, Johnny Labosco.
Over 100 again.
Johnny, I hope so, mate. I hope you're an Essendon boy, Johnny. But, against Gold Coast, it could very well happen. He plays that wing role really, really well. He's a hard runner. He's hard at it. He's one of our more aggressive type of players. So he'll be on one wing, and I dare say the Nick Martin will be on the other wing when he's not rotating through the middle. There's a big chance Essendon could be 2-0 and, again, sitting on top of the ladder after Gold Coast this week. And he's a Melbourne boy, so, just lost a little bit there, but that's fine.
I wouldn't, mate, Johnny, if you've just joined the chat, welcome. I wouldn't worry about it too much. I said at the start, you still got Stephen May to come back. You lost Gawn at the start of the game.
Salem's got a meniscus.
Salem's going to come back. They'll be the team that nobody wants come finals time. I guarantee it. And Brisbane are good at Brisbane. And they had to bounce back after their performance last week. It was always going to be a danger game. I'm mad at myself that I didn't tip him because I was going to tip him all day, every day for a bit of a bounce back like this. But I'm really mad I didn't. But, it was always a chance.
Johnny's probably just spewing that the lights didn't go out 10 minutes earlier because if it did, Melbourne probably would have won.
Wow. Yeah. I thought you saw, what's his name? The coach was having a big chat with him afterwards. Maybe I'll be intrigued to see what he's saying because maybe obviously showed a bit of ticker once they came back out. I love when people just keep chatting with this. I love it. Yeah, a few big outs. If only the power. Yeah, there you go. I love it. I love it. I love it, mate. Honestly, one person told me. So I do a tennis broadcast. I get on and broadcast. We do the state Premier League over here, and I get on a broadcast. Now and then I have to jump on 91.3 Sport FM over here as well. Someone told me there's less people listening than you think, and there's more people listening than you think. And it was one of the best things I heard from a guy broadcasting. He's broadcasted for a long time. It's so true. There are a lot less than you think that there are, but you'll be shocked on how many are actually listening as well. So it's just it's a really interesting quote. I just love how these people come out of nowhere, jump on board, have a listen, and guide us to where this conversation can go.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so to Johnny, were you in? He's probably a Melbourne boy. I'm looking forward. I'm coming over. I'd love to know if anyone online is going to gather round. I'm going to gather round. I can't wait.
That's in Adelaide, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't wait to go to gather round. I'm actually so stoked by the concept. I think it's going to be unbelievable. I've got myself a room at the Adelaide Oval Hotel, which I didn't even know existed until I looked it up. There's a hotel right there at the Oval. Mate, I feel like I'm like a 12-year-old schoolboy. I'm so excited to some people are like, you're not going to be footied out. I'm like, there's no such thing. There's no such thing as being footied out, especially if I'm right there. If you had to tell me I had to travel like 30 minutes back and forth each way, I'm so pumped. I'm so pumped. Yeah.
What do we got? Oh, yeah, Skits Fits. I reckon he's had the 40 on.
Do you get to see the comments? Can you see the comments?
Yeah.
I've actually never seen the studio from your side because obviously I come in on a different way. Mr. Delaney and Mr. Skidmore, I'm not putting them up. Oh, I don't mind Ants. My shout. Well, no, actually, my dad shouted me. So that's the standard squeeze and snap fitness don't actually pay us enough, mate. Until we actually make some money from this podcast, it's definitely the old man shout. And Skitty we'll keep that one out.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Let's have some genuine chat. We don't hide away from any. Oh, that was the wrong one. Cheers, Ant. Not my shout. Just means there's a few more comments coming in. What are your Supercoach round one rankings? Yeah, I sputtered at 50K, mate. We both sputtered as well, mate. We took a couple of big chances. A couple of our chances came through. Ben Cunnington was the one that really let us down. We made a few moves for Ben Cunnington. We both convinced each other to put him in. We both went Tanner Bruin. I was happy with Liberatore and Crippers. Both went well, and they were kind of my PODs in the midfield. But Bailey Dale really let me down in the back line. So, no, only scored high 18s for me. I've got a long way to come back, but I think it's very fixable.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I had Laird. He only scored 50. And then I had the likes of Isaac Cumming, Callum Mills, all these sorts of players that just didn't score well. So I think it was like 1870, I think I scored. And like you have a look at the list, even like Bontempelli was my highest scoring midfielder, and he was 110, I think he might have got. So disappointing.
I'm not hating it though. I like as much as I would have loved to go on. Cool, played it safe, got the score, and the safe team got the score this time. But we said many times on this pod, you don't get the biscuit without taking a little bit of risk it. And we sort of went a little bit of risk, and you got to suffer that, and you got to ride that, and we'll see how we come back, and we'll try and fix it. Doesn't mean we can't chat footy. Doesn't mean we can't come on and have a bit of a laugh. Who else we got here? I've seen a lot of questions coming in. Jay Skidmore still popping along. Who finishes higher, LDU or Laird? Surely Laird still finishes higher, doesn't he? You were big raps for him last week, LDU, and I don't not rate him, but surely Laird gets a higher score.
Yeah, I'd like to know whether Skiddy means for the year or for just this round, but. Yeah, I think Laird, but just. I think if LDU adds some polish to his game and can hit his targets when he does break out of those packs, then he could be that next Dangerfield and that big point scorer week in, week out. But until he cleans up his possession, he's still going to be a bit up and down.
Ross makes a really good point, and he's answering back to what we're saying about the a lot less experienced coaches lucked in, and absolutely they did. We've got the NRL boys. So anyone else who listens along to Molten Fantasy Sport podcast, we have NBA done by Matty Garrett. We've got NRL done by Nath Brain and Matty O'Brien, who do a fantastic job. But Matt O'Brien and Nathan Brain, who know absolutely nothing about football, have both smoked us. Let's be honest, we built both their bloody teams as well. Mm-hmm. They went the high percentage owners, and that ended up being the way to start. And all credit to them. But I tell you what, I'm doing everything to catch them because there's no way I'm letting them beat me. I've got to find a way. To recover it. So you're right. A lot of less experience, definitely coaches lucked in. They do keep sending us messages on fixing their team week by week. There's going to come a point where I might actually go, no, stuff you, sort it out yourself because I don't want to lose to them. I don't know. What's your thoughts there, Del?
Yeah, I just got to let them go. Just let them go to the Wolves and work it out, boys. But yeah, no, I'm confident this week with the team that we'll bounce back. We'll be north of your 2000s, 2100s. Yeah. I see. Ryan makes a good point in the chat to start Philippou or Davey versus the Gold Coast.
I just saw Pooh and just walked straight past it. I thought it was Hammond just talking nonsense in there. Start Pooh or Davey versus GC.
Yeah. That's good because. Do Gold Coast have a good lockdown small defender? Not really.
I like the ins and outs. I like the ins and outs Gold Coast have done this week, though.
Yeah.
I do you and me from podcast day one. So when we revealed our first teams, Connor Blakely was sitting on my bench. as a mature age over from the West. I think he'll go all right.
And Lockie
I don't know.
is he in?
He's in. They brought him in. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I haven't. It might have been an extended bench when I first saw it. I'm just having a look, but you keep going. They're playing at Etihad. So, oh no, maybe he's not in. That Lockie Weller's back in. They've named Connor Blakely is an emergency, so he's every chance to get the. They've got Chol as their emergency as well. That's interesting.
Yeah, dropped him. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, with that question, long story short, I'm starting Philippou.
Yeah, I would start Philippou over him as well. Yeah, absolutely. I like Davey. I think I don't know if he's ever someone you're going to bring onto your field to be a genuine confidence in the starting kind of position, but he's the guy that you probably give the emergency to, and he's every chance to sort of get you a bit of a score. But he's the second last game of the week. This one.
Yeah.
Pooh versus the doggies, though. Like, I get the point, but doggies, people get touches against the doggies. Doggies play a fast brand of footy. They don't lock down at all. You might get beat by 20 or 30, but they still find a way to get points from the other team. And I'm not sold on the doggies yet. I love them. Like, I really rate their list, but they're underperforming the last few years. They've got to find a way this week. They went too top heavy. They went and grabbed the guy in Rory Lobb, who I just think he's terrible.
He's already out.
I know he's out, but he's terrible. They went too tall. The tall forward line does not work in the modern day game.
No, but it is at Etihad under the roof, so it could play to their advantage this round, especially with St Kilda having a lot of talls out with injury.
Oh, I'm backing the doggies to win. Like, they need to win. If they don't win this game, like, they're going to start looking at their structure or their, even a lot of doggies fans start questioning the coach's tactics and think he tries to make it too difficult. Like, it seems like there's too much going on. Like, tries to throw too many spanners and change things up. It was like, who was I talking to? Someone was telling me, who was it? Oh, actually, I won't name the name. There's a player who used to play at Brisbane, doesn't anymore. And Vossi was the coach. And when Vossi's first year of coaching, what he did was he started talking about zones. It was about 20 zones on a field, and it was all about how many zones that the players can run in and touch. So it's all about getting around the ground and getting to the zones. But all these players were just so confused trying to run to all these different zones and show they could move it, but they weren't really talking about how they're actually getting the footy. They just said it was the most confusing game plan they've ever seen. And I think it took him a little while to get out of the system, go and see somebody else. And I think now he's sort of starting to do his thing, which is great to see. We want to see the legends of the game be in the game. So, yeah. Oh, Skits Fitz, I want to know. I actually want to know your tone with this. Rory Lobb, Boomha. Do you know this one? Have I not understood this?
I'm going to have to Google it. I've got no idea. Sorry.
Is it a lookalike? Is it a comparison? Is it a... Mate, are we showing our age here, mate? Or
I would have said that there's a bit of Justin Bieber about him at the moment with that blonde hair.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, he's off.
Is it the blonde hair kind of thing?
King of the Hill, I reckon. Yeah, King of the Hill.
Lookalike. I like it. Very good. Very good. All right. Did you boys see DeGoey with like 80? Yeah. Nah. You know what? We brought this one up in your must stay aways. And look, I'm so against people just jumping down people's throats after one game. You never quit. You never said stay away because he can't play. No. You said stay away because he's got a little bit, he can just stuff up with something and ruin his season or get suspended or do something stupid at the club or all those kind of things. You never said he couldn't play, because even I questioned it and I said, I was surprised he's on your list because he's someone that I really looked at heavily this year as a POD in that midfield. Yeah. I loved his game. I don't think we're going to ever sit here and say if he's playing that he won't score well. It's what he does off field that you have to be a little bit concerned about. But the actual question is, what's your thoughts? The question here is truly, we know DeGoey can play, but what's your thoughts on him or Matty Rao, which was great to see him get back on the scoreboard?
Yeah, I actually would. I like that you've brought this up, and I like that Ryan's asked this question. I listened to an interview that was done with De Goey after the game last week, and it was a different sounding De Goey to what he'd been in the past. Like there was no cheek about it. It was just all business. It's like that he's there to prove a point to his teammates that like his days of messing up are now behind him. And like he's only one pill or however many beers away from stuffing this up altogether, that's the scary part, doing the Ginnivan, but to a worse extent. But he's nearly a look-in for round 3 for me. He just looks so good. And it looks like he's got his shit together now. But for Rao, I won't look at bringing him in just because of his injury history, but he looked really good last round, almost to the point of when he first came in as a rookie. He was finding the ball well. He was using it well. It looked like he had confidence in his body. So I don't think at the moment you could go wrong either way there.
De Goey's are this year for me. Matt Rao's are next year for me.
Yeah.
I think De Goey's showing that now he's good to go. Excuse the pun. Matt Rao is all class, possible future Brownlow medalist. But like you said, if I had to, if someone said who are you bringing in next week, I'd go De Goey at the moment is where I'm at. Yeah. Who am I picking if I'm building a team for next season? I'm picking Matty Rao. But yeah. But beautiful.
I think,
all right, mate. I reckon we call it there. Good chat. We said we'd get on today.
Before you do go, Rossi, I support the Essendon Footy Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robbie's a Hawthorn man.
Sorry. I felt like they were having their own chat over there. I just kind of let them run with it. Yeah, no, I'm a Hawks man through and through. Father went for them. Grandfather went for them. It's actually a really cool story. My grandfather moved over from Wagga Wagga to Victoria, but he was a sort of NRL guy and worked the wharfs when he first moved to Victoria before becoming an accountant. And God bless him, they all said, no, Kennedy, who do you go for in the AFL? And he said, I don't go for anyone. He doesn't know it. And they said, no, you got to pick someone. God bless him and his humility that he went for the team on the bottom of the ladder. He goes, you know what, I'll go for them. He went for the Hawks, picked the Hawks, who were sitting on the bottom of the ladder at that time. If he was like every other human in this world, that would have probably just picked who's sitting at the top. Who do you reckon was sitting at the top?
Surely Essendon.
It was Collingwood.
Ah, shit. Right.
God bless you, Barry Kennedy. Rest in peace for your humility of picking the team on the bottom. I thank you so much. Yeah. Skids Fits, good night, mate. We appreciate it. Ross, thank you for your approach as well. Love your work. Thank you. Guys, this is so much more enjoyable when people come on and make some comments. Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on Facebook. Jump on and subscribe. Listen up to these episodes as we go along. One more shout out to the Standard Squeeze. Check out their products, Molten 15. If you want to get 15% off, you're going to be seeing me using this a lot more during the podcast. And I'm sure Mickie Dell's got his stubby holder sitting there as well. Final words from you, Mick. Final words before I sign off, mate.
Look out for this weekend and a couple of big plays. I'm tipping Bontempelli, Libba, even O'Brien to go really large, and even Darcy as well.
I live and die by the wrist this year, and I'm either going to go dead last in Supercoach this year, or I'm going to make a charge. I'm sitting with Rory Laird as my VC, and then look, if no one scores strong for me, I think I'll have to move Kelly to either Canelio or Green, and I think it's going to be Canelio, and then I'll possibly pick him as my captain if the Laird doesn't come through. But cheers to everybody listening along. This has been the Molten Fantasy Sport Podcast. Peace out.
See ya.